Thank you, James, for that weather update. All right, we have something very exciting on the show today. We have Anton Wilson, inventor. I wanted to talk about your history as an inventor. You invented a camera battery, right?
Correct.
But I think in the short time that we have, let's just get right into this thing that you've invented. All right?
Okay.
This is the glider.
This is the glider, the Anton Glider, appropriately named. And it was originally designed. It was not designed as a product. It was designed. It was designed for one purpose and one purpose only: to put a smile on my face. And how it started was actually on my 50th birthday, right after a really bad car crash. I was kind of banged up, and my friend gave me a pair of rollerblades, and he said it's good exercise to kind of. So I went out to teach myself rollerblading, came down a path, and all of a sudden I realized it's downhill, and it's got wet leaves on it, and I got my brake on, and I'm tense, and I'm not having fun. And after a while, the path dried out, and it got less steep, and all of a sudden I didn't have to brake anymore, and I could relax and go, ah.
Right.
And then I started to slalom down, like I'm flying down the path, and just very smooth, and I loved the feeling, and I did that all summer. Next winter I go back skiing, and I was never a good skier, just an intermediate. And I'm coming down the hill with my friends, and the typical, and I'm thinking deja vu. And I said, it's the rollerblade path. I got my brakes on, and I'm on wet leaves. I'm just, having a tug of war with gravity.
Right.
So I said, no, I don't want to do this. I want that feeling of just like flying,
the
gliding feeling. So I no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't do it. And as an engineer, I started thinking, well, why can't I do this? Why can't I make a ski cut in? And when I realized it, of course I can't do it, because a ski can't do that. So, very simply, if you think of a ski on a hard surface, it's got to be like an ice skate. It's got to cut in. So if you think of a knife, if this were a knife, this is a cut angle, this is a butter the toast.
Right.
Cut, butter the toast. So if you think of an ice skater wants to make a turn, he leans over, cuts in, makes his turn.
Right.
Skier wants to make the same turn, he lifts up this edge, and he slides out.
Butter the toast.
Butter the toast. So the ice skate works on cut. A ski, for a recreational skier, works butter the toast. So every time you try to make a turn, you slide out. You have to.
So an expert skier is the only person who can get the ski
Correct.
out to the angle that it needs to be.
Correct. So those of you out there who are sliding around, it's not your fault. it's not your fault. It's the ski. And so basically, unless you're Franz Klammer or Bodie Miller, you're going to slide out.
Okay.
So the trick was, how can I make something that's specifically for a groomed run, and specifically for a recreational skier, for me,
right,
particularly, so that I could just come down a groomed run and have 0-degree edge angle. So it turns out that the trick to it
and can we see this in the shot? Make sure we can see this right here?
Yep. The first trick was to get the edges under your boot. So the edges have to be under the boot as opposed to on either side. So, and that way you can roll into a turn just like an ice skate.
Right.
Now once you get it this narrow, then you need a complete suspension system. Because the other problem with a regular ski, again, it works for the expert, the shaped ski with the wide tip and tail doesn't work for the recreational skier, because there's no pressure in the tip and tail. So when the ski is flat, and if you put it on a scale, 3 bathroom scales, the middle scale would have all your weight, no weight here and here. So when you go to start your turn, you're on something this big.
Right.
And if you go over terrain like this, you're just teeter-tottering. So the ski can only bend up, it can't bend down.
Okay.
So you lose contact. So this is a full suspension system. These are leaf springs, front and back. The chassis is aircraft alloy. There's spring elastomers here, 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 and here. So it's like a Mercedes ride. And this is pressuring the tip and tail all the time. And if you can see the curve,
yep,
it can actually go down and up. So, and it's independent front and rear.
So how much of a distribution do you get with this system?
What this system does is we analyzed what does an expert do in a turn.
Right.
And it turns out that when a true Olympic expert is making a sharp slalom turn, then he loads his tip and tail because it bends up like an archer's bow. And he has about 15 pounds in the tip and tail. So this system is designed to give you the 15 pounds before you start your turn. So the expert is in the ski already. So when you get on this, you already have the expert loading all the time. So before you begin your turn, your tip and tail are always there. You just lean in,
and you're carving.
And you're carving, and you just it's like flying. No edge to edge. And most of the people who get it, you give up your poles. You don't use poles, and you just kind of.
And this is a learning tool, right? It's
yes.
A recreation, but also for teaching people how to carve.
Yes. Seth Masia, who's the tech editor of Ski Magazine for 20 years, saw these, and he got very intrigued as a teaching tool. And he talked me into making 12 pair for a test, and we put them on people who were never been on skis before, and they'd be carving in one day.
Wow.
They'd just get on them. So it's very, very stable. It's very forgiving. And you know how they talk about a sweet spot in a ski? Mm-hmm. No spot. All sweet.
All sweet.
All sweet.
So
wherever you go, you're always balanced.
What I found interesting was that we learn how to ski. You were saying we learn how to slide.
Correct.
And then once we get to the point where we shouldn't be sliding, we have to unlearn.
Correct.
You know, and learn how to carve.
Correct.
So the idea is that this skips that step, right?
That is correct. So that you have to learn. I mean, you learn the wedge or snowplow just for stopping.
Right.
But with this, you can learn the grace and the pleasure of that kind of letting go. I think the big thing when you watch me or somebody on these is that the normal recreational skier is always in a defensive, tight posture, and each turn they're going ooh, turn, ooh,
You're
turn.
fighting gravity.
Here you go into the turn and you go wee, wee. So it's kind of that letting go.
It's really, really exciting. We have some footage of you skiing on these.
Yeah.
But first, I'd love to let people know sort of what stage you're in and how they can find more out about it.
I think the best thing is check our website. We have it up and we're adding to it, but it's Anton Gliders, ANTONGLIDERS,
okay.
AntonGliders.com. And we'll have more information on there about the glider and also where we will be demoing in the future.
Great. Yeah. Well, Anton, thanks for coming on the show.
A pleasure.
It's very exciting.
It's a pleasure to. I would like to get you on a pair someday.
I would love to try them out.
Yeah.
I'd love to try them. Well, as we said, we've got a little footage of you, right? This is from a few years ago?
It's from a few years ago, early prototype, and 60-year-old guy with a bad knee.
Great. Well, let's take a look at Anton's Gliders.
How'd we do?